We're going to be talking mum guilt now. Now, Shirley's revealed that she still feels mum guilt all these years later for making, well, the memories that she missed making with her son, Mark. But first of all, Shirley, it turns out that you're not alone. We did a bit of a poll. We said, do you still suffer from mum guilt years after your child or children grew up? 76% of you at home said that, yes, that guilt has stayed with you. Shirley, do you think it's something that will ever leave you? Because Mark's in his 30s now, isn't he?
I don't think it'll ever leave me. You know, I missed 5 Christmases when I was travelling abroad with his dad, Corky, 3 months at a time. I wasn't there when he had chickenpox, measles, so many childhood illnesses. I wasn't there with those Christmases. But what I did learn through the counselling back then, he told me when you come back, you must act normal. And I think the advice I got and the fact he was with my mother all the time really helped to round him the way he is today. I've spoke to him about it. He's got no issues, no problems. He said, I was with my Uncle David, I was with my nan. What more could I want? You went, you worked hard, and I am where I am today because of your hard work. So he's always telling me not to feel it. But you know what? It's stuck. Particularly when I have to get pictures for different things that I'm doing. I go back and I look at old photographs. He's got measles, he's got this, he's got that. And I see it and I'm just, I don't know, I just still there.
But you were working, weren't you? You know, you were paying the bills, you were putting food on the table.
I was working, but perhaps I should have just worked to get enough for what we actually needed. You know, I had this thing in my mind. I want to put him in a good school. I want to do this for him and that for him, you know, and I'd seen my mum work hard and I got that work ethic from her. And I just was on that work ethic thing. I just kept working. If it came in, I worked. But if I could just stop now and stand still, I should not have missed those 5 Christmases with him. That's my thought, my feeling about my son. I should have been there.
I can really relate to that, yeah, because I started working from 10 years of age and was doing a lot of travelling. And one particular time that I felt so bad, honestly, I was in Bolivia. So I was out there to meet a little girl that I'd sponsored that was the same age as my children. And while I was there, Louis was in hospital with pneumonia. So I had to come back. It was like, and it was the longest journey ever. And I felt so bad that I wasn't there when he needed me. But there've been loads of times over the years that normally if I get asked to do a job away, I'll sit down and say to everyone, how do you feel about me going away? And if they say, I don't want you to go, I don't go. The first time I felt really bad was I went to Australia. So I got asked to do a play out there and I'd never done theatre before. So I thought, if I'm rubbish, no one will know out in Australia. No one will be able to tell anyone. I know, yeah. And the kids came out to me for a week and Bobby Girl was really young. And then when it was time for them to go home, I broke my heart, honestly. Watching them go through the airport with a little wheelie thing and that, I was just sat on a beach and cried. And I felt like jealous because Mark would do loads of things with them when I was away. He used to call it a park crawl, so I'd take them to all the different parks and then like take them out for something to eat and that. So I missed a lot of that, although the people that I left them with was my husband, their dad, or my mum, who was like amazing, my sisters as well. So I think, Shirley, you know that your son was well looked after by your mum, don't you? So that takes a little bit of the guilt away.
He was from 2 years old, but before that, he wasn't with such good people, and that's why my mother took to the helm and took care of him.
Yeah, can't beat your mum looking after them. What about you, Judi?
Yeah, I definitely, you know, have had periods of you know, mum guilt without a doubt. You know, as being a single parent and trying to have that work-life balance and even, you know, the thinking about the breakups and worrying that, oh, gosh, you know, they haven't got that significant other with regards to father there, but they've got great role models. But it still plays on your mind. And, you know, regardless of what everyone said, regards to work balance, you know, as a single parent, for me, it's that choice of leaving him with someone I trust and going to do a work where I'm feeling I'm trying to build a better foundation for them for when they're older, because I feel like that's more on my shoulders as a single parent. And sometimes just battling between that. You want to give them the best, build for the best, but then you don't know how much it's affected them when they're older. So I definitely have that mum guilt, and sometimes I try to suppress it. Sometimes, you know, it's emotional, and speaking to other women like yourself, it just helps me to get through it like we all do.
I mean, it's funny, I have a real issue with that, the mum guilt thing, because I think, you know, as a parent, there's always times in our lives when we do feel guilty, but I've always worked very hard not to go down that mum guilt route. I would always say to myself, well, I'm working, because I had a period of time as a single parent as well, and I said, I'm working, I'm paying the bills and putting food on the table, and that's just how it is. And, you know, and a bit like you, Shirley, you know, my kids have never had an issue with it at all. In fact, I think they quite liked having a mum that was a bit kind of, you know, feisty on the old work front. And we don't often hear people talk about dad guilt.
No.
I mean, they suffer it as well, but I'd like to see that whole thing. I'd like people to just talk about, you know, yes, I feel guilty about that particular thing that happened, but not attach it to mum or dad.
I feel like there's such an emphasis on women being the nurturer and that one that homes and comfort, and that's why it's really pushed towards the mum guilt. But what you said, Jane, is so true in regards to what you are trying to do. I'm going to take that.